Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. Welcome to the morning edition of United Carnage. The club is in turmoil. The club is in chaos. Man, there's so much to get through today. It is, like I said, I think I just tweeted it out. I'm glad I had a good night's sleep last night because I didn't read half of the stories that were leaked. Yes, leaks again. Why is it always United with these leaks? But waking up and just reading through everything this morning, the reports, journalists going in big time on Manchester United. There's so much player unrest. Rangnick's not cutting it. The players are not happy with tactics, not happy with the coaching staff. We've got loads to get into. And guys, obviously, get your comments in as well. Join in with the conversation because this is all of us right now. The outlook for Manchester United, I was just talking off air then. I said, can you imagine if we lose the Villa game on Monday night and then be out of all competitions pretty much this season? Can you imagine that? Where that would be? Get your comments in, guys. Let me know what your mood is like right now. Let me know what you're thinking about what I talk about and maybe what you've seen and what you've read on social media and from some of the reports from the papers, from journalists. They're all in on it. Everyone. I've got plenty of quotes and plenty of content to get through today. But we'll start off with Chris Wheeler, obviously. The mood at Manchester United. I mean, you can take this and you can look at this however you want. You can look at all these stories. You can go, I don't believe him. It's too much. But then again, you've got to look at what's happening on the pitch. And it's hard to not believe half of the stories because what happens off the pitch and on the training ground is supposed to be reflected on the pitch. And on the pitch right now, you've got to admit and you've got to be honest with yourself and say it's diabolical. It's pathetic. It's just nowhere near what we're expecting to see from this quality of player that is in this squad. So is that where the problem is? Is there loads of unrest? There has to be something going on behind the scenes. And for me, well, you got to look at the players, haven't you? I mean, coach after coach after coach. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail goes in. First one today that sort of caught my eye was the mood at Carrington is said to be described as oppressive, and half of the playing squad are unhappy. Oppressive. That's a strong word. That is a very, very strong word. It's like someone being unfairly treated. It's like someone thinking they've got more authority, more power, and they're putting that across. They're utilizing that in the wrong way. Sort of, you could say, sort of bordering bully sort of tactics on certain people, and you can see the same people, same players that were getting left out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the same players being left out with Rangnick. And you've got to look at it and go, who is in charge? Who is in charge right now? So much unrest behind the scenes. 11 players reportedly that are supposed to be wanting out of the door. I mean, we can name a few of them. I mean, I think we spoke on, it was a show, one of the fan forums with Mark the other day, and ran through, I think it was Sunday's show. He ran through a list of players. I am going to bring up all your chats today, guys, as much as I can as we go through as well. I don't care what these players want right now. They don't like this. They don't like that. So what? This has happened over many managers now. Like I just said, Red Baron, bang on, mate. It is exactly like I just said. Manager after manager after manager. Nothing is changing. There was a little bit of excitement at the start with Ralf at the start of the Crystal Palace game. Slowly but surely, we're just reverting back to a failure, which is what we have been over the last 5-6 years. That's what we're reverting back to, a team of failures. Because they are. The quality of player, I mean, senior players. Now, let's categorize that in a second, what you would class as a senior player. Senior players say it's the worst group and worst atmosphere that they've ever known at the football club. So who's senior? Are you classing senior as a player that's been there the longest? Are you classing senior player as someone who has experienced a lot in football? So that would be like a Ronaldo or Cavani. You can't really bring them in as senior players and class them as senior players for them to say it's the worst it's ever been because they've only been here a year. Ronaldo even less. So who is senior players? So who are they saying? Is a senior player a Maguire? He's not been here long enough for me. A lot of people are venting their frustrations at Maguire at the moment because he is the one who's been reportedly talking the most and is unhappy with what is going on. I don't know. I mean, senior players, Phil Jones, David De Gea. When you look at that, really, from the other night, you'd go, two senior players, the ones who have been at the football club the longest right now, that is them two. Because they've played under what now? What is this, 6 managers now that they've been at Manchester United under? Let that sink in. Phil Jones and David De Gea are in this football club. We're in our starting lineup the other night, have played under what? It's 6, isn't it? 6 different managers that them two have played under. Jones and De Gea are our most senior players at this football club. It's crazy. If only enough. Did I just skits out for a second there? Sorry if I went off there for a second. Don't know what happened. We'll get it sorted, hopefully. Wi-Fi issues already. They're trying to cut the plug before I say too much, I think, United. But yeah, senior players, David De Gea, Phil Jones, are they the ones that are saying that it is as bad as it's been because they've been there the longest? They know more. They've seen what it was like before we started bringing in all these players. And that takes us then into the next sort of element of this football club and how it's been run since Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left. Because this is, like I said, this is where a lot of fans would say the biggest problem is. It's upstairs in the structure and the way the football club is being run from top to bottom. We all know that there's a problem there. But right now, there's only one thing you can deal with. Out of a transfer market, out of a transfer window, and certain, yeah, you could say there's an amount of players that could be brought in, but is that going to change anything? You have to look at what's there now, and what's there now is not working. It's quite simple. It's quite pathetic, to be honest. FT with a super Fergie running club by proxy as a part-time retirement gig for years. Carrick, Ole, now Fletcher. Player power out of control as a result. I definitely agree with that. I mean, player, it's like, who holds the cards at Manchester United right now? Who is in charge? This is what I want to know. It's like, who is calling the shots? Because it looks like a lot of players have got more of a say than what they should have. It's ridiculous right now. I'm looking at some of them, and the amount of players that want out. How many players have we ever been at this stage as Manchester United where we've got this many players who want out of this football club? I don't think so. I don't think there's ever been this many. If you want to go, we've had this conversation before. Out you go. I'm happy with that stance. Adewale comes in with another super chat there. Why do United fans, Cavani, when he run around and do nothing, when Martial can offer something different but doesn't get a chance? Well, this is the problem, mate. I just said it then. It's a case of Rangnick has his way. He's now setting a standard of, if you don't want to be at this football club, then you won't play. If you come out publicly, if you say anything, it's his way or the highway, it would seem. And if you're not happy with the way Rangnick wants to run things, you're not going to be in this starting lineup. You're not going to have a say. So we have to decide whether or not we are happy with the way Rangnick wants to run it. Are we happy with this firm hand as such that Rangnick wants to implement? Or do you want to see the likes of Martial be convinced to stay at Manchester United? Should any player be convinced to stay at Manchester United? I do believe that them players are going to have to be offered game time to actually want to stay, though. And the likes of Donny and Martial and this sort of players not happy with their stance on it. And they need more game time. For them to be happy, I can only see them playing games and being more happy at this football club at the moment. That's how I would see it. Ronaldo is part of the problem. We try to force the ball to him too often. We need a midfielder as well. God. It has been reported. I mean, you could say Ronaldo on the pitch is a problem. Apparently, some of the players, Ronaldo's influence is causing a major problem with the squad, or certain players of the squad. Namely, again, and here comes that name again, Harry Maguire is one of them. Cavani and Greenwood, that's interesting. Reportedly having an issue with the undroppable CR7. I mean, I don't think Ronaldo should be undroppable. I think he has been pretty awful the last couple of games. Even though he scored against Burnley, he's not really offering too much at the moment. And when the big organised teams come around, Wolves aren't that big, but Wolves are very organised. We know that as United fans, they've had our number since they've been in the Premier League. I mean, I've spoke about that plenty of times. But Ronaldo isn't undroppable. He shouldn't be undroppable. Part of a Manchester United squad. It's unfair to actually say, look, he plays every single game when he hasn't really been performing any better than the other players. Ronaldo is Ronaldo, and he does sort of hold that sort of influence, I would say, because he's won everything there is to win. So a player like that coming into the football club, you would expect a sort of an element of a leeway with a little bit, because he is the best, and he has been the best for a long, long time. So other players not being happy with him, it's a fine balancing act that way. I can understand where the problem would be, because he plays every single game. Well, then again, this guy has won everything. He's won a lot. But I do agree that he shouldn't play every single game. And have you got the balls to drop a Ronaldo? Rangnick seems to have that now, and he's happy with it with the likes of Bruno, who's the next step. A Ronaldo. I mean, that amount of unrest in a squad is always going to cause problems. And like I said at the start, you can look at all of these stories, all of these leaks, all of these rumours, and you can judge them for yourself, and you can say, it's too much. I don't believe that. That's a load of garbage. Absolute load of garbage. But when you look at what happens on the pitch, that's the biggest telltale for me. That's the biggest teller, because what happens on a training ground and what happens in day-to-day football life is ultimately reflected on what happens on the pitch. And on the pitch, it's been absolutely shocking. So, really, yeah. I mean, I'll get into a few more of these super chats now. Apollo 30X makes me laugh that the players are quick to blame Rangnick for their own problems. 8 players want out, then just go. You can be replaced. I mean, 8 players, it's reported it's 11 actually, mate, who want out of the club. I'm going to go into a few of them that is reportedly going to be around at the moment. Andy and Bruno, cheers for the super chat, bud. Adam, if Ralf and his coaching staff are meant to be in charge, then what's Fletcher doing in the technical area every game? He must go. A lot of people pulling up Fletcher's name as well. I mean, what is Fletcher doing? Why has he got so much of a say all of a sudden? He was brought back into the football club as I can remember it right, director of football. This was supposed to be the big news when it happened. United going in the right direction. Murto, Fletcher, the new directors of football at Manchester United, the first ever in the club's history. All of a sudden, I'm seeing Fletcher on the training ground, even while Ollie's in charge. Fletcher's on the training ground. What director of football does that? I mean, I thought Fletcher would have been going in, doing some form of coaching lower down the pecking order, i.e. on the 21 level or something like that. Why does he all of a sudden come straight into the first team? Does Rangnick need him there because he's the only man that's left from the Ollie area and is giving him some info on these players? If he is, then does that concern you? Does that make you think, oh, God, if Fletcher, who was around the scene when Ollie was in charge, and that was a disaster waiting to happen, or was happening before he left, that's the same sort of stuff that you want around to try and take this team forward, then it's a bit of a worry, and I can see why people would be concerned with that. How much influence does Fletcher have? It should be one man in charge. It's actually said, there's another quote come out where the players aren't really convinced with Rangnick. I'm not convinced with Rangnick. I mean, let's be fair. These players aren't convinced with anything right now, are they? They're not happy with certain wages, not happy with contracts, not happy with game time, not happy with coaching. They said they're not happy with Rangnick and completely not convinced by his coaching staff that he has brought in as well. I mean, coaching staff has been brought in, not happy with everything that's going on in the training ground in terms of training methods and stuff like that. Then how could really? I mean, look what we had before. Before, we had Carrick, McKenna, Phelan. Was it much better before? I mean, what do you want? What do you want? Steve Locke, still waiting for Ralf to wreck it. Not plaster it, yeah. Wreck it. I mean, I think he is at the moment. I think he really is throwing a lot of players under the bus and saying, what are you made of? He really is, because without him seeing what they do on the pitch, he's not going to know what bad eggs. Is he looking more towards the future and what his role is after this 6 months? Because he's going to know a lot when the new manager comes in. And people are saying we should have got a permanent manager. We should have got someone in who we can actually see a future with, who the players are going to get behind more, not think, look, and I've heard a lot of pundits on the radio talking about this. It's like, how can a bunch of players, and it was touted before Rangnick came in, what's the point? Because he's only here for 6 months. And they're saying it again now because it's all going a little bit wrong. They're saying, how are these players going to get on board with someone who's only here for 6 months? Why are they going to listen to him? And I sort of get that in a way, but these players are not stupid. They look it, and half the time you would question that. But they're not stupid. They're going to know that Rangnick is here for a longer period, even after. And he is going to be directly involved in a lot of what goes on football-related at the football club, apparently, according to the contract. But you've got to look at that and go, as a player, well, I must be looking and trying to impress here now, because this guy could have a big say on my future, on where my future lies as well once he's gone. So you would have thought the players would have took that on board and gone, let's get on board with this and let's just go. Let's be professional. Let's be professional. God, that seems to have just been forgotten about, because there's nothing professional about our squad at the moment, and the moaning and the crying and whinging that's going on. It's doing my head in with him. And do you know what? I keep going back to it. It does look like there's problems because it keeps rolling out onto the pitch as well. Jibak with a super cheers, mate. Ralf Rangnick wanted Carrick and McKenna to stay. Now that they are gone, Fletcher is the incumbent coach. There are reports that players don't rate the new guys. I've seen that. I just mentioned that as well, mate. And that is another concern, another excuse for the players, let's say. Oh, we don't like it. We don't believe that these guys are good enough to coach us. I mean, to be honest, right now, I'd throw a Pontins League coach in there and just show them some hard coaching drills, because they just seem to be getting it. They just seem to be getting it so easy right now and having too much of a say. How players can talk. So I don't hear this at any other football club. I mean, I know I'm invested in United more than anyone else, and I don't pay as much attention. But if there is any opposition fans out there just watching, just let me know. Do you get this amount of leaks and this amount of unrest reported by the players and what's going on behind the scenes? I don't know. Dave, cheers for that. Probably set. It's not an easy ride anymore. Well, definitely. Jude in with a super chat as well. Cheers for that, mate. Ralf Rangnick and Darren Fletcher. In the technical area, because he's the technical director. I like that one. He needs director of football to get their job upstairs. If not, he would never have tolerated this. This is it. When you look at it and you look at what Jude just said there, cheers for that super chat, mate. Did Rangnick have to accept to get that upstairs job in his contract negotiations that something like this was going to be happening as well, in terms of what Darren Fletcher's involvement was going to be? Does Darren Fletcher's contract have a certain sort of line in it that says he's going to get this and that, and he's promised this? I mean, my mate Dave messaged me earlier on. He said a while back to me when he said, are these players having certain playing cut-off points and playing clauses rolled into their contracts? I mean, that would be an absolute disaster waiting to happen if that's the case. But you look at it and you go, wow. I mean, you sort of got to look at it and say there is a question to be asked there, definitely, because, I mean, oh God, I can't even imagine. If that is the case, then we are done. We are finished. If playing time is rolled into contracts, then this club is absolutely finished. I will say that right now, because that is just ridiculous. And there's no manager on the planet who will be able to handle that or deal with that playing staff or that squad and make it work for this football club. There's not a chance in hell that is going to happen. Prema Kumar. Hi, Adam. I did a fan cam with you after the Palace game. I'll do, mate. Good to see you again, pal. I cannot believe how far this lot have dropped, mate. These players need a massive kick up. Yeah, give him a kick up the arse, mate. I'll say it for you. They are making excuses about training at 5 p.m. It's shocking, mate. Cheers for that, buddy. Good to have you on the show again, mate. I agree, mate, with everything. They need a right kick up the arse. I'm just going to get through these super chats now because there's quite a few of them. Cheers for all your input as well, guys. I think the fact that Ralf Rangnick didn't bring his team along and got shit that we are here going to be the reason for the downfall. I know there was difficulties bringing his staff in at the time because of Brexit, visas and stuff like that. But you'd have thought, while negotiating, we would have sorted all this out and the team would have been put in place. It just seems to be stop-start. 1 week we've got this guy coming in, 1 week that guy's coming in. Everyone questioning how much Fletcher's involvement is. And at the end of the day, all rolls round into a big mess that everyone is talking about now. Don't forget to hit the like on the video, guys. Obviously, subscribe to United Stand as well. Loads of people in here. Chats are flying in right now. I'm just going to try and smash through as many of these as I possibly can. Chris, cheers, mate. Everyone needs to remember. Everyone needs to remember these are the same players who believed they should have had a say in the new manager. I mean, Chris, you're taking me right into the next point now. I mean, it was Neil Custis in The Sun who actually said that these players thought Conte should come in. I mean, we did miss the boat on Antonio Conte. We really, really did. And I think that will haunt the football club for a long, long time. It will haunt the powers that be above. Oh, my God, that was one that we missed. But the players saying that it should have been him, the players should have no say whatsoever on who comes into the football club. It's an absolute farce, if that is to say. What is going on with these players? The more comments I read and the more stories I hear about players saying this and that, it just winds me up even more. And you can see why there's so much unrest in the fan base at the moment. It's just bleeding out into every different part of the football club right now. And it is down to what's going on the pitch. Yeah, we can all bemoan what happens upstairs and everything and the way the club is run. But right now, this team is good enough to be competing. So why can you not get on board with someone who's in charge of you and trying to coach you? Because you're clearly not. And it's pathetic. Jono, we've believed in these players for long enough now. It's time to believe in Ralf Rangnick. Big clear out. We can't be like this for the next manager. Jono, mate, you know what? I'm right on board with that one. Right on board with that comment, mate. It is. The players have had their time now. Like I said, we've backed him. We've tried to say it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There was an element that it was. We know that. He wasn't up for the job. But these players now, you know what I mean? There's one common denominator with all these managers, and that's the playing staff. It's the same thing every single week that we're watching. And it may change for one game. We may have that one game where it's like, right, lads, let's just put it in today. Let's just stem the flow of negativity for a while. But let's be honest, it's just reverting back to failure, like I said earlier on. Superman says, loving that name. I wonder how Nagelsmann at 34 is able to manage the big players in Bayern. Very good point, mate. It's because he has a full support of the board. It's a well-run football club. There's a prime example. There's a blueprint right there in Bayern Munich of how football clubs should be run. I don't agree in how they get first refusal on all the German players in that league as well. And it is sort of like an unfair league. But in terms of how it's run, who they appoint, the managers that come in and how everyone has to be on board with what that manager is doing is exactly how football clubs should be run. Paddy O.F. Cakes. Names. Brilliant. Cheer me up. The non-negotiables that Arsenal have worked well. Man, you need to do something similar to rid themselves of toxic players. 100% agree. What's happened with Aubameyang is exactly what should be happening with a lot of the players at Manchester United right now. They really should be. I'm totally on board with that one. Lucky MUFC 92. Cheers, buddy. Club needs to complete structural and cultural resets. The only ex-players I would have involved is Van der Sar as a CEO, director of football, with his experience, and Roy Keane as a coach because he instantly commands respect. He will upset a lot of people. I do believe the restructure needs to be in the playing staff before you even bring someone like Roy Keane in. because the players that have been here for a while, and we're talking these senior players now as well, I don't see, and let's not forget, Roy Keane has gone in big time on David De Gea already, and he's been our best player this season. So there's a lot to be said. Roy Keane, yeah, it would be nice to have someone with that sort of firm hand as such in at the football club. We know we all want it, but there has to be a sort of balancing act with someone like Roy Keane coming into the football club just to keep us afloat, because I don't believe the playing staff right now would handle Roy Keane at all, and it would probably get worse. That's what I believe. I think the right angle is it's time to dissect this football squad. This team, these players have been here long enough, contract after contract after contract. It is time that we started there, because I don't believe any manager is going to be able to succeed as long as the structure as it is, what's happening upstairs. And I know we are trying to change that, but it's gone too far now that it's practically impossible to deal with it right now. Until we start weaning out the players and a manager is fully in charge of what happens, we're never ever going to see success at this football club again. I don't believe I'll see a Premier League title won in my lifetime. I'm 40. That's how I see it right now. That's how far behind we are. We may be able to compete in 4 years now. That's what I'm saying. I thought, and I was the one who got sucked in thinking this is it. We are going to, this is the turning now. We're buying the right players. We're buying the big names. And when you look at it, it just doesn't work at this football club. The players are coming in, the big time players. And I've said this before, United very rarely went out for marquee players, not the big ego name players. They were always sort of built from within. I know it's long-winded. I know it's sort of nostalgic and stuff like that. But I do believe until there's a team here that is built from a manager that is going to be fully backed and is in sole charge, we're not going to move forward. Anyway, I get through some more of these super chats saying, you're back in again. There's a major culture issue at Man United at the moment. If half of the squad went out, fine. Let them go. Replacing them will take time, but we need the purge. Oh, yeah, the purge. That is what this club needs. It's a purge, innit? Let's rid ourselves. Let's just go crazy for 24 hours and just get rid of everyone. Let's press the reset button on FIFA. If only, people. If only. Delete league. Delete. It's not going to happen. You can only delete. And like I said then, 4 years, we may be competing again, because that's how long it's going to take to get the players in that are needed after replacing the ones that we need to get out of this football club. By the look of it, some of them are just going to walk. So, yeah, 28 years support is over. I dread watching us suffer. Suffer is what we're going to do. And guys, I said I was just going to talk about, let's just see if there's any more supers that I need to get through. Well, Ronaldo needs incisive through balls from midfield. He needs someone on his wavelength. The Modric's of this world, you know what I mean? The Toni Kroos, these types of players, it just don't exist anymore. Well, not in our playing staff anyway. Where is that next world beater? Rangnick's the man who could probably find that. Are these players going to get on board with him bringing in his type of player as well, though? Because, like I said, it goes back to how much influence this current crop of players has got. And until they're gone, anyone coming in is going to suffer. Look at Donny right now. I mean, he's a mystery. The biggest mystery in world football, Donny, and what has happened. It really is. But I don't think we're ever going to know. We're never going to know. And no one is going to come out. That's why you're never, ever going to see one of these all or nothings at Manchester United. Can you imagine all or nothing at Man United behind the scenes? Oh, God, blockbuster is what that is. I would tell you right now, I would be, do you know what? I would tune into that more than what I was tuned into Game of Thrones. Manchester United, all or nothing, on whichever platform, I don't care. Something behind the scenes at United would be something that I would just be clearing my schedule out to watch to find out what's going on. If they just had, it's never going to happen, is it? It is never going to happen. But that would be the biggest show in the world. I guarantee it. That would be the biggest show in the world, anywhere, wherever you broadcast, whoever, Amazon, Netflix, whatever. It would be the biggest box office in the world to know what's going on behind the scenes at Man United. It really would. Oh my God. I think the players' agents would be blowing a gasket if they knew that had got wind that something like that was coming. Oh, can you imagine? It's clear that Rangnick's job is to teach Fletcher to take over in the future. Don't say that, mate. Someone else said that the other day to me, that Fletcher's going to be the next man in charge. No. He is going to change our team's playing style. Expect to see Ollie version 2 to next season. God. No, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to take that on board. I don't think that's going to be true. I would be terrified if I was told that Fletcher was going to be Man United's next manager. I really would. What is he learning right now from Rangnick? Is he learning how to handle egos? I mean, is Rangnick having to listen to what Fletcher's saying? I mean, it is a mess. And I'm just, until a manager comes in, I thought this was going to happen with Rangnick. I thought his whole team, I know he has brought a few in with him, whole team coming in. There was no more United favourites club. There was no more jobs for the boys in there. Then I thought that was what was going to happen and why I got so excited about it. In terms of rival clubs, I can think of Dembele at Barcelona, who has been linked to Manchester United. That's not happening. I think I did a show on that one not too long ago. That would be absolute suicide from Rangnick if he brought someone like Dembele in. Talk about throwing a lion into a tiger's pit. Jesus, no, that would be absolute carnage at the highest level. We haven't been playing players on merit. I agree with that. The favouritism continues. No idea why Dalot and Tellers were dropped. Scott has been poor for months. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that one, Clayton, mate. We do need, and I thought, do you know what? I was breaking it down why the team didn't change for the Wolves game. And I thought, you know what? Have a look at it and I'll go, how Rangnick's worked it so far. And some would say it's fair. Some would say crazy. But first game, obviously, we beat Palace, kept the team for Norwich. That was fine. We beat Norwich with the same team. Then we come up against Newcastle. Similar again, pretty much, apart from obvious changes we need to make. And we drew with Newcastle, and it was a shocking performance. And then he changed it. So it's like whenever it went wrong, he's changed it. So he then went to Burnley. We went and beat Burnley at home, and he kept the same team that won Burnley. So he looks like a big advocate of playing a winning team and not changing what isn't broke. So, I mean, I'm not got a problem with that. If you're winning games, then you keep your place in the team. But I thought Tellez and Dalot were probably the unfortunate ones. I mean, Luke Shaw hasn't been horrendous since he's come in. I thought he's played well. And that is good for competition. But now it's going to be interesting it's going to be very interesting for the Villa game because McTominay and Shaw are both suspended. So them two are out straight away. So there's two players that you just mentioned there, mate, that could come straight back in. That could have a time on the sideline again, especially if we do beat Villa and we have a decent performance. Then we've seen what he's done with Fred. He's not brought Fred back in. It's 2 games straight now. Bruno's not started 2 games. I know one was suspended, but he had that urge to bring him back in. He didn't. So it is going to be interesting to see what team he picks. No responsible owner of any organisation would accept such petulance from their employees. Leaking stuff when you can't do basic football stuff. Yeah, football is a different world, mate, unfortunately. And we all know, and we've all seen especially the last 10 years at Manchester United, that it really doesn't matter how anyone performs. It's sad to say, but there's no sort of punishment. There's no one held accountable for their own performances on or off the pitch at this football club. A player shouldn't be playing if he's playing bad. I agree with that. But continuously at this football club, mediocrity is being rewarded. I went into the players. I'm going to get into them now. The players that are reportedly more unhappy than anyone. Lingard, Donny, Bayer, Henderson, and the names being mentioned. I think we already knew that, didn't we? And you look at them players and you go, Lingard, he had that one chance, but he obviously thinks more highly of himself than playing with the young kids and the reserves against the young boys in a nothing game. Bayer, I think, has got the biggest shout above anyone to be unhappy. When he plays, he performs. And I think he has got a place in this team. I would love to see him in this team. You know what I mean? I mean, Phil Jones has put himself forward now for playing at centre-back because he had probably one of the most accomplished centre-back performances of the season. So if Rangnick is going to stick to his guns, then we should not see Harry Maguire against Aston Villa. If we see Harry Maguire against Aston Villa, then I'm very, very concerned that Rangnick really does not have any power at all. That, for me, would be the ultimate embarrassment, the ultimate sort of kicking the bollocks for Phil Jones. Let's be fair. I'll say this now. If Ralf Rangnick picks Harry Maguire for the Aston Villa game ahead of ahead of Phil Jones, then it's quite clear that Rangnick has got no power. He'll have a little bit, obviously. He likes to do what he does, and he's kept certain players out. But I look at the Bruno situation now, with him not starting. Harry Maguire is supposed to be the one who's making a lot of noises behind the scenes and has had a lot to say. I'm not classing Harry Maguire as a senior figure whatsoever, but the senior figures are the ones saying that the unrest at the football club is the worst it's ever been. It's the worst atmosphere in the training ground. If he comes in against Aston Villa, then I know Rangnick will fail. He will. He will fail because from what he said and what he's built his career on and his reputation on, it's completely against it. He's going completely against what he said he would implement, the way he likes to play and what he likes to do with his squads and his teams. And for me, I think his future at the football club has to be questioned and why he's actually here. Because if he's not going to do like he said he's going to do, what's the point in him even being here upstairs after? And that is, I'm dreading that game now to see if Harry Maguire is on that team sheet. Captain aside, performances need rewarding and players who are not playing well need time out. He's done it with Bruno now. And now I'm hoping he's going to do it with Harry Maguire because I know it's the ongoing joke, which is Phil Jones. And I've slaughtered him before, but I held my hands up the other night against Wolves. And I said, look, Phil, credit to you. Absolute credit to you and a credit to this football team. You are a credit to this football team for the way you went out and operated on that football pitch against Wolves. You was our best player. We've not played for nearly 2 years. And you went out there and shown all these pre-Maradonas what it was and what it means to play for Manchester United and put that shirt on. So that's my message to you, Phil. Mate, I've slaughtered you and I hold my hands up and say it. I never hide away from anything I've said. I've never rated you as good enough for this football club. But you went out on that pitch against Wolves. You did your bit. And you know what? You stood out above everyone else for me in that game. And that is, unfortunately, and I still don't think Phil Jones has got the capabilities of taking this club forward. I'll stand by that. But I will not hide behind that and say that he did not play well. Because he did. And he was our best player. And he's shown the best attitude in a game that I've seen all this season. The chips were down. And he still put his body on the line. He still went forward and stood out from the rest. And that, for me, is everything a United player. If you put that into Rashford's boots right now, we would have a world-class player. If you put that into a lot of these players' boots right now, you would have a world-class team. And it's a shame that it's Phil Jones whose injuries have tarnished his career. Like I said, I'll stand by it. He's still not the best centre-back for me and isn't at the football club. But what he did on that pitch, I'm not going to deny. Not going to deny. He was our best player. And I wish some of the other players in that team or in this squad would take a leaf out of Phil Jones's book for his attitude. Because he's taken a lot of stick and he's had to deal with quite a lot from pros as well as us fans. And sadly, his career is sort of been wasted as such. If he was playing more, I do believe he would have been out of the club. And he's only still here because of his injuries, I think. Someone else would have bought him because he can do a job for someone else. But anyway, it's Phil Jones for you. Showing up the world-class pre-Maradonas at Manchester United. Christiana says, Luke Shaw's comments about the lack of motivation. You are putting on the United shirt and playing piss poor. Teams are coming to Old Trafford and picking us apart. It's embarrassing. Give your ego and pride aside and play. Get your ego and pride aside and play for the club. Well said, mate. I think that is exactly what Phil Jones did. Phil Jones, and it's no surprise, Luke Shaw had to isolate Phil Jones from his description of the football team. Jayling's fam, yeah, thanks for that, mate. That's that picture in it that Lingard put up. Ironic. Adam, who do you think should play in the front line? Me? It could be anyone right now. I really don't care because of their attitude. I thought Cavani was shocking. I thought Ronaldo was shocking. I thought Sancho was shocking. How no one's picked up on them players yet and criticised them is beyond me. I do think other players have been unfairly criticised ahead of some of the players who were getting away with it because of the names. Cavani was useless. Ronaldo was useless for me the other night. Sancho, Greenwood was our best forward. I think Greenwood starts every game for me. I would like to see Sancho and Greenwood as a two. Greenwood and Cavani as a front two. I know Cavani's leaving, but that's how I would see it. Just going to try and get through as many super chats as possible while I can. What happened to the first 30 minutes at Palace? It's, again, absolute mystery that no one can answer because we reverted back to type after that game. I can't believe it. It was good. And we was well on top, and Palace were never a threat. It was the comfortablest 1-0 win that we've ever had in our history, I think. And all of a sudden, it's gone. SP Freelair, what is it with this club and nepotism? I can't even say that. Nepotism. Didn't work with Chelsea and Lampard, and can't they see why you recruit on merit over reputation? Why can't they see a lot of things, mate? That's the question, isn't it? That is the question. Recruit on merit. You buy the players that are going to suit the managers that's in charge at the time. Chelsea, that's probably a little bit more difficult with because they change their managers all the time. But let's be honest, what are we doing right now? I'd be scared about what player comes in because we're changing the managers with no structure and no idea what player is coming in and if he's going to prosper at all because it's changing that much. And I said, I keep saying this is why I'm scared about who comes into this football club. If we do spend money in January, me and Beth are back on at 2:00. We're probably going to be talking more in depth about that. So do tune in for that one as well, guys, later on today. This squad is poorly built. It's laughable. About 400 million wasted. The one who shall not be named built this squad on big names. God help us. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I say it for you, mate. He was the one that built this squad. It is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's squad, and we are suffering because of the names. You're right on that one, definitely. Andy Bruno. Adam, we are playing so poorly currently. We will be lucky to end the season in 7th. Agree. I'm just going to make a point in a minute, actually, before we finish up on this one, on this show. I'm just getting through a few more of your comments. Just bear with me a second. Just want to make sure I've not missed anybody. Yeah. So, my team in the mud. Only watching United stand from now on. Top man. Keep watching United stand, mate. I'll tell you everything you need to know. Oh, God. I'm dreading that Villa game. I really am. I'm dreading that Villa game. Can you imagine, like I said at the start of this show, we go out of the FA Cup. That's out the first stage of asking in the Carabao Cup in the first round at home. And if we don't beat Steven Gerrard as well with his Villa team in the FA Cup and we go out of that, then you're going to see a lot of unhappy Manchester United fans. And I think it will kick off even more. And I hate being in this position, but I know what's coming. I know what's coming if that happens. I've seen it in the stands. I've seen fans fighting with each other in Old Trafford. United fans fighting and arguing in the stands with each other. That's where this football team has got everyone at the moment. They've had enough. And people are clinging on to favourite players. If you play him, it's going to work. It's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who comes in and who plays right now. The attitude of the whole squad is poisonous. And you can see it. It's the rumours that are going around that we're talking about now from the training grounds. You can see it on the pitch. Cristiano 7 trains hard. That's why he starts when off form. Get Pogba and Leeches out. Get youth involved. Anyone think Ahmad has shown more than Sancho? Well, we won't know on the training ground, do we, mate? All we see is pictures from the training ground of everyone being happy. That photographer has earned his corn, hasn't he? From that United training ground, the amount of pictures he puts out of players being happy. Oh, God, the social media spin that Man United put on it is, it's a fantastic world. Brilliant. All that players board are the reason why Klopp didn't join United. There may have been a few managers who looked at the setup at Man United and thought, nah, I'm not going to ruin my reputation, which is why you've got to sort of look at Ralf Rangnick's decision to turn down the first offer that was given to him by Man United. That's interesting. Wonder what's involved in that and why he didn't accept it. So, yeah, there probably is a few managers that have looked at it and gone, nah, see you later. I don't care if it was one game. Jones was better in one game than Maguire has been all season. I want, going forward, Jones and Varane at the back. Yeah, I said that, I think, in my fan vlog. I think Jones has definitely shown more in one game and a better attitude than Maguire has all season. I totally agree with that, actually. But, guys, I just want to finish up the show by saying I said this to... sorry, the super chat. I will just bring them in as they go. Congrats, time job. Thank you, mate. Yeah, full time United stand, everybody. Welcome. You're going to see more of me, if you like me or not. But there's plenty more to come. I just hope that we got something happier to report on. It's a great time to come into it, isn't it? I tell you, I can see it on the vibe. So what I wanted to say before we finish was, we're getting more and more people over on the fan vlogs at match days, which is brilliant. And when you speak to so many people, you get to ask a few questions just to see face to face exactly where they're at. And I asked the same question. Do you believe that if Manchester United don't get into the top four, Cristiano Ronaldo will be at the club in the summer? I know Mark's touched on this and he has wholeheartedly said, no, he will not be. I am in the same agreement. If United don't get top four, could the short-term loss be our long-term gain? Do we have to fall before we can rise again? I've accepted now this season is pretty much over. And for me to be saying that now only halfway through destroys me inside. It really does. But Rangnick's here till the end of the season. He ain't going anywhere. These players are not happy right now. What is going to change? Really? Unless these players, which have let us down the last 5 years, all of a sudden have that light bulb moment and go, I'm just going to all of a sudden turn into a player that's disciplined, fully professional and get right behind Ralf, then this season is over. It's as simple as that. I said it. Ralph's not going anywhere. He's here to the end of the season and he's going upstairs. There's no way that the club are going to be able to get rid of Ralf now. Ralf is in, people. So get behind him. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard few months ahead of you. The players are the ones under the scope, under the spotlight right now, and they're the ones that need to buck up. And for me, I'm looking at it, and I said it then, if we don't make top four, I would say Ronaldo, Cavani's gone anyway. Lingard's gone. Martial's gone. I think Donny will be gone. Pogba will be gone. And who else have we got there? I mean, what's that? There's six. There's six first team internationals of the highest sort of caliber. You can argue the point between yourselves whether you think he is quality or not. We've got two of the all-time leading goal scorers in European football in our starting lineup. It's not working. They'll be gone in the summer. Cavani and Ronaldo gone. You're looking at Martial once out already. He's made his mind up. Romano's pretty much nailed that on. I think we can all see. Ralph's given up on him. Martial's finished at this football club as well. So Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, they're definite. Lingard ain't getting in this team, not from what I've seen under Ralph and him being here a month now. So there's 4 forwards. And you're looking at Donny. I just don't see how he gets in. I don't know. I think he will ultimately say, look, 2 years of my career being wasted is too much. I need to move. And any professional would say, yeah, I have to move. If I'm not playing continuous football, I've gone from semi-final Champions League, Ballon d'Or shortlist, to not playing for 2 years. I'm off. Yeah. So there's 5 forwards, you could say, gone in the summer. Pogba, see you later, mate. I've had enough. He may play the end of the season. He may help us out in some way, but quite clearly he wants out. I don't think Paul Pogba is going to be enough to put us into the top 4. Is his influence big enough? And has he got the attitude that's going to influence all the other players around him to say, let's turn on here. We've got a senior figure out at this football club that's really putting it in, and we need to take a leaf out of his book. Has Pogba got that in him? From what you've seen so far in Pogba's time at Manchester United, I've not seen enough, and why I don't think he's going to be enough for us to survive and get in top 4 this season. Ronnie Bream, cheers for the support. City play without a striker. United play without a midfield. I do believe what team we have become your thoughts. I do not believe what team we have become your thoughts. Yeah, our midfield, mate, is always going to be a problem for us. It's been a problem for the last 10 years, and we've still not rectified it. We really haven't. It's like I said, I always go back to the same thing. Can we go into a transfer window and go and buy what we want, what we need, instead of going down that middle aisle at Aldi, seeing all the flashing lights and the things that stand out a mile and buy them just because they're there? That's what United do in transfer windows. Oh, Donny's available. He looks like a fair deal. Let's get him. Oh, Ronaldo's come up. Can't let him go City. Let's get Ronaldo. Does that fit into what you really need right now, though? No, it doesn't, because we needed a holding midfielder, and you've got another summer without buying one. United's structure is a mess. We know that, and ultimately is what will destroy us and destroy managers and players' careers like we are doing right now. I've got so much more to say. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up the show there. I'm back with Beth. We've got a lot more to talk about at 2 o'clock as well on that show live. So do join us there as well, guys. Guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, don't forget, give the video a like on your way out. Subscribe to United Stand. Thanks for all support from my own socials about everything moving forward with me, United Stand, and going full time. Guys, that's it. We're done and dusted. I will catch you at 2 o'clock later. Don't forget, tune into that. Subscribe to United Stand and stay tuned for any updates. We will be all over it on the socials as well, guys. But for now, cheers for watching. I'll see you later this